Welcome, everybody, to the new edition of the 2022 kickoff to the Fan of Life podcast, Fan of Life show. And for those of you guys that hung around and stuck with me and supported me as I fumbled my way through last year, 2021, I greatly appreciate you. This episode, I already messed up already. But this episode or this kickoff podcast is really just a reintroduction to you guys of who I am, what my goals are, and what I would like to contribute in terms of why I'm even doing a podcast, right? And I think to reiterate some of the things that I alluded to throughout the course of last year, while showing you guys some tidbits in business and real estate and having the great opportunity to interview some cool people with great stories and great education and great things that they want to pass on to help contribute to helping people make their lives better. I think you get the sense of me and what my passions are. And at the end of the day, I just want to be of value and of service. So if you're still hanging around and you're still watching, I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you guys that can, please share if you find value in this. And this is going to be more of a monologue. So the podcast will be pretty much a combination of interviews like I did last year and a little bit more monologue style where really I'm just talking to you. And the good thing, guys, is that we are now officially on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So you no longer have to have to look at this mug every time you want to hear me talk. So you can do without visual, enjoy it while you're driving in the car, walking your dog, doing household chores. So I'm very happy I finally got around to doing that. And you can actually capture or catch all of the previous shows, all 14 episodes of interviews from 2021. They are all live now, uploaded on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So pass it around. Anyway, so that's kind of the idea behind this year, and what my goals are is to really lean into the podcast format, more interviews, more monologues just like this to help you guys through your day, through your week, and hopefully every now and then come up with a gem or a nugget that can be beneficial in your life. So if I can do that for you, if I can be a contribution in that way, then I have done my job and it is my honor. So anyway, Happy New Year, by the way. I hope you guys all had a great new year, great 2021, as crazy as it still seems to be. And for 2022, I hope you guys, and actually I wish you guys the very best and continued growth in your business, your life, your family, and most importantly, your health and wealth, because those things together is going to create a great, fantastic life. So, let's touch on that a little bit today. So as we're reaching the end of the first week of the new year, I think this is where the gyms start to loosen up a little bit, less cars in the parking lot, the hamburger, the combo meals, the sodas start to come back into the play. And I think within the first week, I read somewhere that 80 to 85% of all quote unquote New Year's resolutions start dropping off. So really, I want to touch on that because I think, at this point in our lives, most of you guys are listening, you guys been through enough seasons that you realize that resolutions is really a feel-good moment. It's an activity that people do to make themselves feel good for the moment. For some reason, people think that magical day when it switched from December 31st to January 1st of the new year, life just happens and it changes. And if you've gone through enough of those New Year's resolutions, it's a bunch of crap. It really is, right? Because deep down, whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to change in your life and whatever goals you want to hit, it doesn't happen, number one, overnight. And your life doesn't change in 24 hours. It just doesn't. But what has to happen for it to change, for it to progress into where you want it to be, is you have to first understand what is it that you're trying to achieve. And it's easy to write stuff down. I know the top goals for most people is health, right? So people want to lose weight. That's probably the number one thing. That's why gyms always packed the first week of the new year. And then second is usually finances or money. So let's talk about those two things. Number one, let's go ahead and talk about the health side of things. And self-admittedly, last year was a very great year for me in terms of business, but I really let myself slide away from my first love, which is physical fitness. I mean, I've done martial arts, I've trained lifting weights, I've ran, I've swam, I've done physical activity since a little kid and have not stopped probably until last year. And for whatever reason, my desire to go to the gym, my desire to stay physically fit kind of waned a little bit as my business grew, which is very, very interesting. And I know if I dive deep into why that happened, there's probably something to that subconsciously. And if you guys have been through that and you know why, leave some comments, leave me a message, let me know. But the last couple of weeks prior to the new year was a lot of self analyzing and kind of figuring out why is it that when one side or one aspect of my life hits a good stride, I personally tend to let another aspect slide away. And I don't believe I'm alone in this. I think a lot of you guys can relate to that. And as I ask myself these questions, remember, guys, in life, the quality of your answers are dictated by the quality of your questions. So you got to ask good questions to get the answers that you want in life or that you need in life. So I asked myself, what is it? Because physically, I'm healthy enough to work out. Accessibility wise, I think I had 3 gym memberships. And the open road, as far as running, is free. So what is it that holds me back? So as I'm asking myself these questions, and I force myself to be honest, I think, and this is with me being fully transparent, and I hope you guys can relate. I think for me is that there is a subconscious fear, right? And we'll talk about fear in a little bit, but there's a self or subconscious fear of things being too perfect, so that there's a looming idea of when things are just too perfect, too right, the other shoe has to drop because that's how life works, you know? So maybe, just maybe, with my one semester of Psych 101, analyzing myself, I think maybe it's a self-sabotage because it's almost like self-preservation. And what I mean by that is because I've been so focused, my wife and I have been so focused in building, our enterprise, our real estate portfolio, our fix and flip business, and my W-2 job, which I had a great year as well. The finances and the business side of it is just hitting a good stride, so that maybe subconsciously I sabotage another aspect of my life in order to kind of guarantee that life doesn't become quote unquote too perfect. Because if life becomes too perfect, like I said, there's this looming fear that maybe, the other shoe is going to drop, whatever that may be. And it's a weird concept to really think about, because growing up, I've been around successful people a lot. I purposely put myself around athletes, successful business people, successful educators, really smart people. And there is a common theme of fear that is based around the fear of success. And when you don't have success, when you're broke, when you're hungry, right? You go, that is silly. My biggest fear, once upon a time, not too long ago, was how do I make rent? My biggest fear is, how do I put gas in my car? It wasn't a fear of success. But as I start to grow and develop in business, I start to realize, gosh, maybe that's what I'm going through now without even knowing it, without even realizing it. So over the last couple of weeks, I really had, some tough conversations and some quiet time with myself, and really had to be honest. And I think that at the core of why I sabotage one aspect of my life, an aspect that, again, that comes probably more natural to me than anything else, which is the physical fitness, why I sabotage it is because it's an aspect that if it doesn't go well or isn't at its peak, I'm allowed to embrace the fact that business has been phenomenal. so that I take away that looming fear of, gosh, if everything is perfect, the other shoe's going to drop, like I said. So, so that's something I'm battling with, and that's something that I definitely will overcome because it will be a priority focus for me this year. And one of the ways I'll share with you guys, as far as physical fitness and goals is obviously, I don't know if you can tell, I always like to wear V-necks and black because it hides some of the softness pretty well. But I put on some weight and got a little bit sluggish. I did a couple of things throughout last year that really, for at least short amount of time, gave me a sense of good physical fitness. I did David Goggins 4x4x48, running 48 miles in the course of 48 hours. That was brutal. I did not complete 75 hard. I got through, I think, day 50 something. So there were little pockets of attempting to really challenge myself physically, but looking back again, not seeing it through and not seeing my full potential, I think part of it is because I did not want that side to be successful, because my focus last year was finances and business. And again, if everything is perfect, I didn't want to deal with that looming fear of the other shoe dropping, where it may be. So I guess if there was going to be something that were to drop or were to be imperfect, at least I would control it, which is, shoot, let's just get out of shape, right? So anyway, going back to what my goal is this year in terms of physical fitness, and I want to share this with you because I want to relay some ideas your way in whatever endeavor you want to achieve. I've committed to making sure that my physical fitness is based around doing things that are fun and doing things that I enjoy. Somewhere along the way, I lost my love for, typical lifting weights, going to the gym, picking something heavy and putting it down and, repeat. At some point, maybe I'll find that love again. So in order for me to get into shape, for order for me to keep myself moving, I've committed to do things that are fun and that are physical and that are out of the box. So if you guys live in the Las Vegas, Henderson area, and places that cater to something along the lines of gymnastics, dance, things like that, I want to get into that because I don't know if you guys know, some of you guys do. In my previous life, back in high school, I was a break dancer. So one of my commitments this year, and it actually steamrolled into a bet with some of my relatives, is that by the end of the year, I will be able to do a couple of my trademark breakdance moves again. One of them being a windmill. So if you guys don't know what a windmill is, Google it and you'll see it. But that was kind of like my trademark. And I want to see, actually, I take that back. I will get that back and I will be able to do it, I would say, before summertime of 2022. So if I just carve out a couple hours a week to kind of just goof around, break a sweat, break dancing, doing some floor work, doing some windmills, training some of that, I think that will get those calories burning and it will be fun. And hopefully that will steamroll into something else and give me momentum. So I share that story because I think sometimes in life, when we set goals for ourselves, part of the setbacks in setting goals is that we have, with good intentions to be great, but we take out the fun and it becomes a chore. The activity of whatever it is to get you to where you want to be becomes a chore. Some people are born salesmen. So picking up the phone is fun for them. Making deals is fun for them. Negotiating is fun for them. Some people just have biologically a high VO max, so they can run forever. So physical fitness comes second nature and it's fun for them. Some people don't have a sugar tooth or don't have a sweet tooth or don't like greasy foods. So nutrition has never been a challenge. But for the most of us, I think we fall somewhere in the middle where if we are to do something to better ourselves, some of the habits are not fun. So I think that the secret here, my challenge to you guys is find out what is it that you want to do, whatever that goal is, reverse engineer it. In other words, if you want to make X amount of money, think about what it'll take to make X amount of money And whatever activities that you need to do to get there, try to figure out a way to base it around something you enjoy, right? Exercising, same thing. You want to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds by whatever. You want to gain some muscle mass. You want flexibility. You want mobility back. Whatever it is, figure out figure out what it is that you want to do. Reverse engineer it. That means work it backwards. Figure out the steps that you have to do to get to your goal, and find out how you can make those steps centered around something you enjoy. And I think that could be a small shift, but it could be a game changer for most of us. So that's my small, quick tidbit advice to you in terms of doing activities to help you reach your goal. But as far as goal setting is concerned, that's something that I think I'm equipped to educate and give some advice on, because my life has always been based around setting goals. And I think setting goals, number one, obviously you have to write it down. I think at this point, everyone understands that when you write something down, it becomes more concrete in your mind, but also in the physical, tangible aspects, in the tangible world, right? You speak something once, sounds great. You speak something twice, it makes an impact, but eventually at some point, it just goes out in the ether. If you write things down and there's a list, or there's a goal list, or there's a target list that you can constantly look, review, check, and change, you increase your probability of hitting your goals, not just quickly, but surpassing your goals in most cases. So let's talk about that goal setting aspect a little bit. What does it take? What do you have to do to set quality goals? I think goal setting comes in two forms, right? The way I do it is, my first set of goal setting is a boundaryless, limitless, crazy goal setting. So I'll give you a personal example, because this is about me sharing so that you can relate. Obviously, as I'm trying to build this podcast, I am building a list of guests that I will eventually talk to. And if I were to sit down and I use my analytical brain and try to come up with a guest list, probably by guest number 2 or 3, my brain will say, there's no way this person will talk to you. They're at a different caliber. They're at a different tier in business. They're at a different level of fame. They're, millions of reasons why they would not even contemplate or think about hopping on a show like yours, because you're small time compared to what they are. So if I sit down and I do that, and I allow my analytical brain to get in the way, making a goal list will be pretty depressing, right? So the first goal list that you should make should be a judgment-free, limitless, no excuses, no roadblocks type of list. It's kind of like the old question: if you know you couldn't fail, what would you do? And the answer is probably, I do everything. I try everything. So I'll share with you a couple people on my list of hopeful interviewees for my podcast. And it ranges anywhere from people that I know personally now that I admire, in business, in faith, in spirituality, in counseling, in contribution, people that I can pick up the phone, and through acquaintances or just through my personal relationships, I can get them on the phone. So that's the easy part. But it also ranges all the way through Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, guys like who I admire that on, at this point, a different stratosphere than me, guys like Anthony Robbins, Ed Milet, Gary Vee, you name it. And I'm sure anyone that hosts a podcast or starts a podcast have those big grand schemes as well too. And these guys are on my list of top 100 people that I want to talk to and interview. And some of you hear that, you may chuckle. And I'll tell you what, as I was writing it down, I kind of laughed at myself too. But again, the exercise of the non-judgment list of goals is to put you in a state of mind of believing that if or coming from the perspective, I should say, of if I could not fail, what things in life would I do and or try? And their answer is pretty much anything and everything. Why wouldn't you if you couldn't fail? So you have to set your big dreams from that perspective. So then that is goal setting as far as that first phase. Now, within that first phase, what I like to do is then I like to chunk it into a smaller list of goals, activities that I can control in my immediate methods, capabilities, resources, and life this year. So then out of that, for example, we're still on the topic of guests for the show. Out of that big, ginormous list, I start focusing down on the people that I know for sure that I can call, and then people that are maybe two, three connections away, and then people that are probably acquaintances through social media that I'll reach out to. And then eventually, once we tackle those people and you feel confidence in building momentum with those people, you better believe, Dwayne Johnson, I'll be reaching out to you too, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee. But I share with you this because, as silly as it sounds, I think people are afraid to set goals and to dream big because they themselves get in their way. So if you're going to sit down and you're going to set goals and dream big, you got to do it first off from the perspective of, if I cannot fail, what would I do or try? And again, the answer is anything and everything. And then from there, scale back on the things that you can control now, that you can have effective or influence on now, and start tackling that right away. Because the number one secret thing is momentum in terms of achievement, in terms of success. And you ask anybody that has built a business, that has built some type of success from nothing, they will tell you at some point, momentum takes over and it's really out of their hands almost. And it takes on a life of its own. And that's the perspective that I hope I am sharing with you guys, that you guys understand. I hope I'm articulating this right. Remember, guys, I barely graduated high school. Shout out to Independence High School, Eastside Union School District in San Jose, California. So if I'm not articulating this right, maybe give it a listen again, or shoot me a message and I'll clear it up. But to reiterate, guys, all I hope for you this year is that you decide what is it that you want to achieve, and or at least move towards, and set your dreams and your goals on paper, because it needs to be written down, and do it without judgment, do it without restrictions, and do it from the perspective of, if I can't fail, what wouldn't I do or try? And then from there, scale back from that list to the things that you can control in this moment, in this part of your life, in this stage of your life, and tackle those things, because you would then build that secret sauce known as momentum. And I promise you, whatever it is that you try to achieve and try to make happen will take on a life of its own. And I truly believe that. And I will be, the guinea pig in that aspect, specifically with my podcast. So I just wanted to share a quick message, cool interviews I have on deck coming soon. And I want to thank you guys for your support. Those that you guys have listened through all last year, allow me to kind of fumble my way through. And as I start to build this side of the podcast, I will make sure I'll start farming out some stuff, so the quality of the video will start to get better, audio will get better, and I'll put some time and effort and money into the production side as well too. But at least we're going, guys. At least we're up and running, right? So I appreciate everyone that's listening. Welcome to 2022. Sit down if you haven't already. Think about what you want to achieve. Write it down with no restrictions, no fear. And then from there, take actionable steps to reach those goals and start building that momentum. And from me to you, I wish you guys a life of happiness, wealth, and health. And the wealthiest people that I know are not the wealthiest financially. They are the people that have lived life or decided to live life to the best of their potential. And at the end of the day, guys, that's all we're shooting for. And along the way, if that means making a lot of money, then that's what it means as well, too. So that's not a bad thing. So please subscribe. Again, I'm now on Spotify, Apple Pod, and you can always watch on YouTube. So whichever format that you guys enjoy the best, please stay consistent with that or bounce around and do all. And like I said, guys, thank you so much for the support. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And I look forward for the next episode with a special guest coming up in the near future. And one last thing, if you guys know of people that you think will be of good, will make a good interview, people that have unique stories, people that have motivational ideas, it's just anything that will contribute to what our goal is, which is to better humanity, reach out to me, help make a connection, and let's help this podcast grow. Until next time, guys, Happy New Year. Go live your best life. Take care of yourself.